What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3 of Fantasy Football 101. I am Chris Norman. I am here with my co-host Curtis Broom
What's up, guys?
and
Gals?
Matt Primo.
What's that?
Hey guys, listen, it's been a hectic morning, so I had a whole spiel, but we're just going to get right into it. Today we're doing running backs. We're going to do a little different because with running backs, there's a lot more people as far as ADP is spread out over that I think we should at least mention names. And with tight ends, you pretty much either get one or you don't. So we're going to try to help you guys identify some targets, and we're going to try to give you a little bit of just a very, very shallow dip into our imaginations on how we feel about some of these ADPs. So what we're going to do is actually, when we get going, I'm going to hand it over to Matt. He's got the ADP list with the top 25 running backs. He is going to go straight down the line, one at a time, telling us who they are, who they play for, and what ADP they're sitting at. And then Curtis and I are going to give them a green light, yellow light, or red light based on if we think they're a smash pick, a neutral pick, or I'm not really interested at that ADP. For the running backs, Curtis and I are going to get 3 timeouts apiece. If we call a timeout, we can go in depth on that player. And Matt, you can say or do whatever the hell you want because this is going to be your show today, buddy. So you feel free. And I know we're going to be pressed for time, but I think we can kind of move through this. I do have something that I have prepared for Mr. Primo at the end of this episode. So that'll just be 5 or 6 minutes on the end, and we'll try to make it as good as we can for you guys. So I guess without further ado, let's just jump on into the running backs.
So we're actually going to move 1 through 25. At number 1, we have the dude himself, Christian McCaffrey, the guy that got me into the playoffs last year and then absolutely lost me the playoffs also. Plays for the 49ers. ADP is 2.3 going in round 1.
I mean, that's a green light for me.
Yeah, I mean...
He finished 100 points over the running back too, so I think that one's pretty obvious.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to yellow light it because I think McCaffrey belongs closer to like pick 4, pick 5. I think a lot of the top receivers should go ahead of him. And there's running backs later I like, honestly, like in my heart of hearts more than McCaffrey. So I'm going to yellow light it, but he's a great pick.
It's okay to be wrong sometimes, man.
And then at number 2, we have Bijan Robinson, who plays for the Falcons at an ADP of 6.4 going in round 1.
Green light.
First, we'll just take turns. Yeah, there you go.
All green light. Like, I'm running through this one. Yeah, green light's great. I think Breece Hall's a smash. I mean, has nothing but like up to go. The only worry about Breece Hall is, the offense, like Aaron Rodgers health wise, but I think Breece Hall is just all green light here. What?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Why are you smirking at me like that?
Because he said Bijan.
No, I said Bijan. My bad.
No. Matt said Bijan.
Oh, I thought. My bad.
It's fine, dude. Honestly, we can roll those two together. They're kind of one and the same, and they're both green light smashes.
So is Bijan Robinson really ranked number 2? Because I've got, when I was looking over sleeper, I have Breece Hall written down at number 2. My bad. Okay, cool. Well, even more of a green light. I like that. I know Breece Hall finished higher than Bijan Robinson last year, but I have Bijan ahead of Hall. And honestly, if you wanted to take Bijan ahead of McCaffrey, I think you're just getting ahead of the game there. Be where the puck's going, not where it left. I mean, McCaffrey is where the puck is chasing it. I think Bijan Robinson's going to be where the puck is at this year, if we're going into hockey terms with our fantasy football. But like Bijan Robinson just has that elite, legendary upside of just 25 to 30 point games. He's, awesome. I love him. All green lights.
Sure. I'll triple green it. I'll triple green it with everything except 100 points, man.
Yeah,
He was 100 points higher.
Yeah, it's what you call peaking. Once you peak, the way is down after a peak.
Even
I'm not
the same team.
Yeah, I'm not a physicist or anything, but yeah, I think that's how it works.
This
up
is why I
here,
gave us this
down
is
here.
we have to roll through this. There's
Yeah.
25 of these. This is why I gave us timeouts.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, I think Brees Hall and Bijan are green lights. Really, which one you take ahead of each other is dealer's choice. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these guys.
Chris, do you have anything on Brees
No,
Hall?
I'm
Okay.
green on all three of them in the first round. They're in the first round for a reason, man. You know you're
Yeah.
getting a smash player. You're building the foundation for your team. Pick your poison. Pick McCaffrey first, but then after that, just pick your poison.
Yeah.
So at number 4, we have Jahmyr Gibbs on the Lions at ADP of 13, going in round 2.
I'm out on Chris's end here. All
Yes.
right. What you got,
I'm
Chris?
using my first one. Listen, guys. Jahmyr Gibbs had an ADP dip over the last couple of weeks because of a hamstring tightness scare, and it's still a legitimate threat. You don't ever want to hear your starting running back has a hamstring issue. But, everything coming out of camp and out of HQ is that it's literally just maintenance because they want him coming into the season at 100%. So until I hear otherwise, or until I hear that he's actually a risk to not play for a couple of weeks, his ADP it's even better now than it. I had no problem taking him at the end of the first, really. And now he's slipped back to not all the way middle of the way through the second, but he slipped back to a point where Curtis was telling me yesterday he did a draft and he actually got Bijan toward the end of the first and then was able to stack Gibbs with him on the swing pick.
Yeah, felt
And
real good.
yeah, I bet it felt
Mhm.
real good. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Shout out.
it's pretty rare that you would jump the gun like that in today's fantasy world and go running back, but with those two, why the hell not? You know? I mean, that's just a staple of a team. So you can do that with his ADP fall. But the thing about Jahmyr Gibbs, last year his only issue was he had a slow start because of usage. I mean, Dan Campbell said it before the season, and we didn't listen. He said it's going to take him 5-6 weeks before we kind of incorporate him into the office the way that the world wants to see it. And it did. It was a slow burn. But even during the slow burn phase, you only had 2 or 3 games that you just were completely disappointed. I mean, you got to see flashes, you got to see the speed, you got to see even the route running ability, I thought, early on. But when he got incorporated into that offense, David Montgomery was still a thing, but nobody was excited to watch David Montgomery run the ball. If you had David Montgomery, you were excited when he got to the 3-yard line because you were probably getting the touchdown.
Oh yeah.
But Jahmyr Gibbs, just his explosiveness just kind of made, again, I'm not going to say it made Montgomery an afterthought, but he was clearly just the go-to gadget guy. And nothing has changed on that offense, really. I mean, you're going to have more dome games, which is good for Jared Goff. The division games are always close, so there's going to be some clock maintenance at the end. And the only thing they've said is they want Jahmyr Gibbs more involved. And even with last year, he averaged 5.2 yards a clip, which was second only to McCaffrey and anybody that qualified. There was one more guy that did better, but I feel sure we're going to speak about him in a few minutes. But he only had 100 carries, and Jahmyr Gibbs did it with 180. His points per opportunity, which is the total number of carries and targets, averaged out to almost 1, which is almost unheard of. He had 250 opportunities, and he finished with 245 fantasy points. Again, he was only beat out by 2 guys. One of those was Christian McCaffrey, and the other one, I didn't say. I'm going to say he didn't qualify because the opportunity count was far less, but we'll get to him in a second. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I think it's just all systems go for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to green light his end of round 1, beginning of round 2 ADP. Echo everything Chris said. Just explosive. It's unfortunate he's dealing with the injury, but if that causes him to slip to, mid-second in your draft, that's just, easy click for me. Dan Campbell's already come out and said he should be ready for week 1. I mean, I like Dan Campbell. I think he's telling the truth, so I'm going to, take that. And even if he misses week 1, I mean, regular season is 14 weeks long. Like, you can weather the storm a week week or 2 weeks. They're playing it safe with him. So I think it's a great pick. And he also carries contingent upside. Something like David Montgomery goes down. That's when you see like 30-point ceilings from Jahmyr Gibbs when he's getting all the work. So yeah, great pick. Love him. You want to be attached to that offense too. They're one of the highest scoring, or projected highest scoring offenses in the league.
At number 5, we have Jonathan Taylor of the Colts going 14.5 in the second round.
I hate it saying this because I really enjoyed Taylor his rookie sophomore season, but I'm gonna red light this. With Anthony Richardson, it's going to be stealing a ton of, well, I'm just going to red light it. I'm not going to waste like a timeout on or anything, but it's a red light for me. I think there's going to be a lack of rushing touchdowns. But it's a red light with a heavy heart. I do like Jonathan Taylor. I like Shane Steichen. I like the Colts offense. I think he's going to have very good games, but I just think there's players going around him I'd rather have for sure.
You red lit it with a heavy heart. I'm gonna yellow light it with a false sense of confidence.
Okay, yeah.
I just need to see Anthony Richardson operate this offense in a routine and not just splotchily.
That's
He said trash.
Oh man.
I just don't know. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is a G, and it's like you said, if he's going that high because he's that good. But I am going to yellow light it for the reasons you listed. I don't know how he's going to fit in this offense. I know he's going to run the ball a lot, but I don't know, when they get down to the 5-yard line, what they're going to do when it comes QB sneak time at the 1 all the time. I don't know how explosive he looks coming off of last year. I mean, he got back to form by the end of the season. He looked like Jonathan Taylor again, but at the same time, I'm with you. I'm leery by the change of the offense.
At number 6, we have Saquon Barkley of the Eagles at 14.7 going in the second round.
I'm going to echo everything I just said about Jonathan Taylor, but downgrade it to a red light for Saquon Barkley because I know what the fuck Jalen Hurts is going to do when he gets to the 2-yard line.
Yeah, it's exact same situation with JT offensively, except I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a better offense, but I think Saquon is a worse running back than JT at this stage of their career. I mean, again, talent-wise, there's no arguing with these guys' talent. I mean, they're elite running backs, but I just think, again, I think there's going to be touchdown, regression to the negative means for these guys, in the offense with their quarterback stealing so much of the goal line work. Red light. It's just a mirror image of Jonathan Taylor's situation. Maybe even a little worse though. So yeah, red light for me. Yeah, I won't have probably any Saquon Barkley in redraft leagues unless he falls a good bit.
At number 7, we have Kyren Williams for the Rams, 15.3 going in the second round.
Go ahead.
Well, yellow light in the second round. It's tough for me. At the end of the second round, I'm happy to take him, but I've gotten used to underdog prices where he goes in like the early, sometimes mid third round, and that's like just a smash pick for me. But mid second, it's a yellow for me. Like I have pause. I like Kyren Williams. I mean, a lot. What's not to like? But they did draft Blake Corum. I'm not that worried about him. But I mean, it happened. They drafted him. But I think that's more just to have like a copy carbon print of Kyren Williams to replace him if something goes down. But yeah, it's tough for me in the middle of the second. There's so many receivers I want there. It's tough for a lot of these running backs on their price because wide receiver is so valuable. Did I do it again, or am I talking about the wrong running back again?
No.
Okay. All right, word. Yeah.
I'm just over here. I'm just thinking about Chris is like, let's keep it to the timeouts. And Curtis just
my bad. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Kyren Williams, yellow light, mid-second, yellow light.
And Chris is just over there looking like the disappointed father.
I know.
That's right. I was listening.
God forbid we stick to a structure. God forbid. All right, but yeah, yellow light for me.
I like that headset, by the way. That looks pretty
Thanks,
sweet.
man. Thanks.
Dude,
Yeah, it's comfy. Feels
it's
good.
just nice.
Yeah. I had them on this morning, just like isolate noise. I wasn't even listening to anything. I was like, feels cozy.
I like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think of the name for it from you.
Kyron's gonna be a full green for me, but that's biased. I understand the scare of being in the middle of the second with an incoming rookie that may or may not. He's not gonna take over the backfield unless Kyron gets hurt, but he may or may not be a factor. But just from a biased standpoint, the dude did it for me last year. He won me a Super Bowl single-handedly. And I do mean single-handedly. He had like a 30, a 31, and a 28 in the playoff run. And I just watched a lot of him. I'm a believer, and I like what Sean McVay does with running backs. So I'm fine with him as my RB1 if he's coming off the pick of like a Jamar Chase in the first, maybe even an Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first, depending on how the beginning of the second shakes out. I have no issue with it. So he's a green for me.
At number 8, we have Travis Etienne for the Jaguars, 19.5 going in the second round.
Red light for me. I want no second round ETN. I like the player, but red light.
What did you say his actual ADP was?
19.5.
So
the second to last pick or the last pick of the second round? I'm going to go yellow, but literally the reason I'm not going green or I'm not going red is because it depends on who you're picking first or second. I have no issue taking him as an RB1 if I get a smash receiver in the first round. Really, I don't. I've seen the volume, and I've seen what Doug Peterson's going to do with running backs, and it sounds like ETN's just going to be the guy this year again. And I'm going to go yellow, but if I'll go green light if he's stacked on a receiver as my running back 1. If that's how my picks work, you know what I mean? Like, there are other guys I'd rather have, but I'm okay taking him there if I have to.
At 9, we have Derrick Henry for the Ravens. ADP is 24.2 going in the third round.
oh man, another red light for me. Like heavy as the crown, along with the rest of his wear and tear for King Henry. If we're high on Lamar Jackson, I don't see how we can be high on Derrick Henry too. At least for me. So red light on Derrick Henry. I know he's an anomaly, but age cliff. I'm just not betting on old backs.
All right. I'm going to go yellow again, just because I agree with the Jackson take. But if Gus Edwards got like 84 touchdowns last year, I think Derrick Henry's probably good for 13 or 14.
Yeah, I mean that's
Even
that's
with
the
the
thing.
age cliff. That's what you're banking on is the
Mhm.
problem. That's why it's yellow and not a green. Like, you
Yeah.
got to have those touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a great floor play. Like it's minimum 8 touchdowns this season rushing. Like Derrick Henry's not going to lose your league, I don't believe, but you might miss a player that could win your league in that
Sure.
area.
That's fair. I will go yellow and a half because you're right. Middle of the third is still a little rich.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out that Curtis had like this fantastic analogy there with King Henry and the heavy lies that crown. That was perfect. That was perfect.
Thank you.
Props to you.
I have my moments. Yeah. Speaking of,
I don't know if you pre-planned that or ad
No.
it. It was fantastic.
off the riff, improv. Saw those classes paying off.
I would pay so much money to go just watch you in an improv class.
I love Lamp.
You could never know that I was there. That's how it would be my condition.
Oh man, I don't know how I would do in that, to be quite honest.
You'd be fine.
Yeah.
At number 10, we have.
Place.
I did. I lost my sheet. At number 10, we have Devin A-Chain. I probably fucked that name wrong.
I get it.
Is it Devon A-Chain?
I'm gonna go ahead and use one of Curtis's timeouts.
Yeah,
trust me.
Timeout. Big timeout. It's Devon A-Chan. Man, this is my favorite player this year. Like, I love him so much. I just get all hot and bothered about old Devon Achan here. So he finished number 24 last year, and that was off 8 total games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure I'm counting that. And when I say 8, that's games where he played 40% of snaps or more. So that's only 8 games of the regular season. That was only 8 games of the total season. He only played 5 games of the regular season. Starting in week 3, went to week 5, had a monster game against the Giants, but goes out with a knee all the way up until week 13. He played in week 12 one snap. Like, so that doesn't count. I'm not counting that. So in week 13 though, he comes back, finishes RB3 against Washington. So I'm sorry. Let's just go back in his finishes here. Week 3, RB1 against Denver, where he dropped 51 points. RB5 against Buffalo, 27 points. RB4 against the Giants at 21 points. I will say in the playoffs, weeks 15 and 16, he finished 29 and 52 in week 16. So disappointing there, but finished RB8 in week 17. So he finished the year healthy. The only reason we're getting this discount on Devon Achan at RB10 is because people are projecting injury for him, and he's sharing a field with Raheem Mostert. And I love Raheem Mostert, but he's 32 years old, I think, 31. Devon Achan's the future of this franchise. Like, I mean, it's going to be him and Waddle for the future. We have to. It's just you want any piece of this offense you can get, and Devon Achan is going to be such a pivotal part of it. I mean, this guy is just here 8 carries, 101 yards against Buffalo. I mean, they had a good defense in the beginning of the year until they all got injured. And they're talking about using him far more as a receiver this year. Honestly, I've got Devon Achan in my personal ranks ahead of Gibbs. I have him number 4 overall. I think he's going to be drafted in the top 5 next year, barring an injury. I mean, he's put weight on in the offseason to get healthier. We haven't heard anything but glowing reports out of camp and from McVay. It's just to the moon with this guy. I mean, I'll have him in every draft. It's just there's no way I'm not taking him. I'm comfy taking Devon Achan at the end of the second round. Like, I mean, there's just that's I'm happy taking him there, and I'm down on running backs this year. I'd rather have receivers almost everywhere, except when it comes to Devon Achan. So, yeah, draft Devon Achan unless you're in a league with me, which I mean, you won't even get the chance because I'm taking him ahead of ADP by a lot. So,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, I'm just the kid's going to make believers out of a lot of people next year, for sure.
So green light?
Green light. Big green light. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a red, Ben. That's a no for me, big dog.
really? Red
No,
light for you. Okay.
absolutely
Oh, I
not.
was about to say.
No. Chris is a
They're,
believer too.
they're out
I'm not
there.
gonna use one of my own timeouts on it because Curtis said everything I could say and more. But yeah, go get your Devon
I
Achan,
mean,
dude. He's
this number 10 ranking is crazy. I could never imagine a world where I take Derrick Henry, ETN over Achan. Like, you want to make the argument for Kyron Williams? Sure. But I'm never taking Barkley or Jonathan Taylor over him. I mean, like I
I would
said,
I would have him right behind Gibbs,
yeah,
in my
that's
opinion.
and with the Gibbs injury, like I'm putting him ahead of Gibbs for me, even though we're not baking a lot of the injury into it. It's just the fact that Achan's not dealing with one. He finished the season strong, health wise, not his
Sure.
best games, but nonetheless, went into the offseason healthy, has progressed through the offseason healthy, has done things to ensure that he's as healthy as he can be through the season. I'm just all in on him.
Yeah, that's agreed.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
At 11, we have Josh Jacobs for the Packers going ADP of 27.8 in the third round.
That's a red light for me. I don't think Josh Jacobs looked the same last year, and I mean, we bitch and we moan every single year about how Aaron Jones doesn't get utilized the right ways in Green Bay. So now that he's out and Josh Jacobs is in, I haven't seen a reason that that's going to change just because they got the same running back for a younger price. Well, a heftier price, but they knocked some years off of him. So I'm good there.
Big red light for me. Almost worth a timeout to how much I dislike Josh Jacobs at this price. I'm not even kidding, man. Like, he'll fall sometimes in the 6th round on underdog, and that's where I take him. And even then, I'm like, I don't like this click. I just don't want to be like wrong on Josh Jacobs and have none of them. But I think he's an awful click where he's going in redraft. I think Josh Jacobs could lose you your league taking him there that high. Maybe it works out. Green Bay's awesome, but McVay's never used non-committee backfield. Like I said, it's almost worth a timeout. I'm not going to get into it. I would full fade Josh Jacobs at that price. Red light. Big red light. Yeah. Yeah. Like, go to jail. Do not pass go if you click Josh Jacobs
Yeah,
at
I
that
don't see
price.
the bearded wonder utilizing him any better than he did with Aaron Jones. So
No. Mm-mm.
pass.
Yeah, same for me.
All right, number 12, we have Isaiah Pacheco. The Chiefs, 28.7, going in the 3rd round.
I'm going to green light this with some hesitancy. Like, I personally will probably not have a lot of Pacheco there at the end of the 3rd. That's right. That's right. The end of the 2-3 turn, I believe. He's a great situation, though. RB1 for Kansas City. They're doing their best just to find an RB2 to back him up. The pass catching back for him last year, I forget. He's gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not even practicing.
Oh, Jerick McKinnon.
Jerick McKinnon, thank you. They're working out Deneric Prince and some other rugby player. So it's all going to be Pacheco. It's just his price for me is a little rich, but that's where I'm about ready. Like, I think he's a good click though for anybody else who's not worried about not having wide receiver depth and etc. If you like Pacheco there, I think he's green. If you like Pacheco, he's a good click there. I have no problem with it. I want to go in deeper. I'm just trying to stick to the structure of the rules. Like, I like Pacheco a lot. There's a lot to like about him, but I'm just going to green light it, pass it on to Chris.
I'll see the green with hesitancy and full downgrade it to yellow.
Okay.
But that's not to say that I don't see the potential of the pick. Like you just said, there are reasons to take him there. I just think at the turn in the middle of the receivers that he's in, depending on what you've done with your running back so far, like if you don't have one, green light, sure, he'll be a great foundational piece at the end of the 3rd round, in my opinion. But I'm going to yellow it just because it's a little rich for me. I think there's close enough value 2 or 3 rounds later.
Sure. I don't disagree with that.
At 13, we have Rachaad White for the Buccaneers, going at 38 in the 4th round.
Full red, expectations are way too high. His efficiency was terrible. That's me. That's all I got.
Red light, promising young rookie drafted. They did everything they could to try to replace Rachaad White. They just couldn't, so he just made a name off pure volume. Good pass catcher, so in your PPR league, sure, but yeah, full red for me. Not taking him.
James Cook at 14 from the Georgia Bulldogs. Just want to throw that out there. Playing for the Bills, 44.1 in the 5th round.
Green light for me. This is where I'm starting to, like, I don't see a big difference between, I would take James Cook ahead of Josh Jacobs, and you're getting him 2 rounds cheaper almost. I mean, he's
full 2.
Yeah. This kid, I mean, he was a 2nd round pick last year, and he was a highly drafted running back. His competition, sure, they drafted Ray Davis, but I mean, the coach is already talking him up. What's that? Jimbo, I think, is the nickname his coach has for him now. That's like the goal line version of James Cook. Calls him Jimbo when they get in the red zone. So, I mean, Joe Brady sounds hyped on him. Sounds like he's ready to run him, get him some touchdowns. Chris, I'm sure you have numbers. What was it? 2 rushing touchdowns last year he had?
2 rushing and 4 receiving.
Yeah. So he had 4 receiving touchdowns.
There
So
will be progression to the mean.
yeah, he's gonna have more rushing
Yeah.
touchdowns for sure. So yeah, I think he's a smash. Like you spend your first 4, you get your first 4 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers and an elite tight end. There's James Cook as your RB1. I think it's awesome. I love him. Big green light for me.
As green can get, if you go 0 RB build and you actually roll this round in the late 4th or early 5th, full green. I think
Well,
he's a regular green everywhere.
yeah. I would even I would actually consider like if you go 4 wide receivers in a row and hit James Cook, I would consider that like a hero RB. Like I wouldn't continue to pile
It
on
could be,
running
yes,
backs
it
after
could be
him.
disguised as a 0 RB, but a hero RB. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
And I would treat him as my hero and fill out my quarterbacks and tight ends and the rest of my receiver depth and like build just a a room of running back depth behind him. But nonetheless, that's a structure video. But yeah, green light on James Cook. I think we're in lockstep on that.
One caveat, though, is you do have to point out the same thing we're talking about with Saquon, the same thing we're talking about with Jonathan Taylor. Josh Allen's going to kill him in the red zone. So I think
Yeah.
he's good for more than 2 rushing touchdowns, but I don't think you're looking at 10 or 12. I think he's probably going to stagnate somewhere in the 6, maybe 7 range.
Yeah, you give him 3 more rushing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 4 receiving touchdowns. I mean, it's close to double-digit touchdowns. I'll take that.
Sure.
Yeah, totally.
15, we have Joe Mixon for the Texans at 47.4 ADP going in the 5th round.
Big red for me. Big red chewing gum right here.
Huh?
Big red, man. Big red. I mean, this is not like I'm getting off the running backs of our forefathers. Like I just old running backs, a lot of projected volume. You just count me out. Like I like Joe Mixon. I appreciate what he did in Cincinnati. Drafted him, many years ago. Happy to do it when he was a young man. But a lot of tread on those tires, and he's already dealing with the hamstring. He's not even practicing. Like Dameon Pierce is getting all the starting reps right now, so red light for me. I'm not going to waste the timeout. Red light. Moving on for me. Play this team through the receivers and C.J. Stroud, not Joe Mixon.
Yeah, today we're learning that Curtis with running backs is like Leonardo DiCaprio with women.
That's what I'm saying,
over
man.
23. I don't want that shit.
I don't want them, man. There's rookies almost too old out of this class. I don't want anything to do with.
That's honestly fair. It's not a full red for me. It's still a yellow. I think this offense is going to put up so many points, and I'm not worried about Dameon Pierce. We saw what he wasn't going to do last year. So I think Joe Mixon's still a good enough volume play to be worth a late 5th round pick. I'm not scared of it. It's not a pick I'm going to go and saying, oh, I'm going to plan my 4th round so that I can get Joe Mixon on the swing. But if I find myself in running back trouble and Joe Mixon's there and I pick at the end of the 5th, it'll be like, sure, why not? I feel fine with that. So it's a yellow for me.
Just the fact that James Cook goes in the 5th, like such the drop. There's such a drop off to me.
That is
between
preposterous.
James Cook and Joe Mixon. Like, if I was going to take someone like that, I would rather spend a 3rd round pick on Pacheco than a 5th on Joe Mixon. So that's where I'm at with old Mixon. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
At 16, we have Alvin Kamara for the Saints, 49.3 ADP going in the 5th round. Man, I remember the days when he used to be really good.
Yeah. Same age as McCaffrey.
So it's a red for Curtis.
No way. That's not true.
He is. Yeah. They came into the league, I want to say the same year, if I'm not mistaken.
He's physically the same age. McCaffrey's built different, man.
For sure. I mean, dude, there was a year, though. It was like McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara for the number 1 overall pick. Like, it was a debate. Like, yeah.
I remember that.
Alvin Kamara used to be a very good running back.
What you doing with him?
Oh, I'm red light. Big red light. Again, old. Like, the only thing to the Kamara is his receiving chops. But, like, if you want to try to PPR scam it with him, sure. But 5th round, get out of here with that price. No, thank you. Like, in the 7th, sure, I'll look at him. But I'm not. Get out of here with 5th. Big red. Chewing gum. No, thank you.
I'm gonna use a timeout then.
All right, go for it, man. Go for it. Give me your Alvin Kamara case. Make me, a believer. It's not going to happen, but you can try.
Oh, he's too old for you. I'm not
He,
worried about you.
he
I'm just
is.
trying to make sure the rest of the world's aware of what's about to happen.
Sure. Yeah. People need to know.
All right. He's being drafted as the RB16. Last year was the hardest year for Kamara and the Saints as somebody who watched it. It was the hardest to watch. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this dude is returning like the Messiah that has been promised. It was brutal to watch. But as bad as it was, he finished as the RB11. So before I even spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about some different numbers, if it's as bad as it was last year and the PPR gets you there, being drafted as the running back 16, you're already getting a jump to the RB11, statistically speaking. So before I even say why, at the end of the 5th is a green light smash for me in a redraft. I don't want no business in a keeper league, and I don't want no business in a dynasty league at this point. But just for this year, I'm cool with it. It's a green for me. But he missed the first 3 games, and he missed the last game of the season. He was on a suspension, so he played 13 out of 17. So I took his targets and his receptions, and I paced it out over 17 games rather than the 13 that he played. He was on pace for 113 targets over 17 games as a running back. Now, just for clarity, if he had been a receiver, he would have been targeted more times in 17 games than Devonta Smith, Drake London, and Nico Collins. He was on pace for 98 receptions. Had he been given 98 receptions over 17 games, he would have caught more passes than DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave. Now, everybody knows I like taking my doo-doo dumps all over Chris Olave, but had he played 17 games and caught 98 receptions, he would have been the wide receiver 1 on his team from a reception standpoint. Now, the yardage sucked. It was like 500 yards on, I think he actually had like 74, 75 catches or something like that. The efficiency was terrible, but in a full point PPR, you're getting that many points just for him literally catching the ball if he goes nowhere with it. He only had 6 total touchdowns last year. Going into last year, before the offense was as abysmal as it was, he averaged 11.5 a year between rushing and receiving. What he scored last year, if you paced it out over 17 weeks, would project him as the RB7 this year, as far as preseason projections for starter rankings and all that, statistical rankings. And that will change. It's just literally a projection. But Clint Kubiak is over from the 49ers now, so I think the total number of targets will dip down a little bit, but the efficiency will go up. The offensive line is very inexperienced, but they're very good. Dylan was telling me the other day that it's with Pete out, they're going to be starting 3 first-round draft picks and a second-round draft pick. So if they can develop and literally give him anything to run behind, as a RB16 for a 1-year loaner, dude, I think it's just a common sense smash. I really do. Even if the Saints are trash again, and that hurts me to say because I live here and my whole family is a Giant fan, except for me. I'm a face value fan. But yeah, drafted as the RB16 and you've got top 10 upside on usage alone. That's a green light smash for me.
Yeah. If I thought he was actually going to finish RB16, sure, I guess it'd be a smash in the 5th round. What was his average yardage on all those receptions?
It was bad. It was like 6
bad,
catch.
dude. I was about to say.
It doesn't matter when there's 90 of them, though.
Sure, yeah, it's a point. It's a point. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I get it, but no, thank you.
All right.
I'm at the side
Too
with
old.
Curtis over here.
He's too old. He's got grandchildren.
It's not that he's too old. It is that he is too old. It's that he's too not good anymore. He's just not the Kamara from the past. He's already dealing with back tightness. I know they're saying it's not serious, but
I think that's where the difference is, because I don't believe he's not as good. I just think that last year we didn't get to see it.
Okay. I hope you're right. I would love to see Kamara be Kamara again, but
He's not going to be who he was 5 years ago. But I'm
oh
just saying,
yeah,
I don't think he's washed like everybody thought he was last year. That's my only point.
okay,
Hard pass.
hard, hard, hard pass.
I'll die on another hill.
Is he's one that screwed you in the past?
No, I'm just
Did
not.
you
I'm
have
not,
him last year,
I'm
Matt?
not willing to. I'm not willing to take that risk. Not willing to take
Oh.
that risk.
Yeah.
All right.
He never screwed me. I don't think. I don't remember.
I mean, he just screams. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Primo.
I'm saying we all know that I hold grudges, so I'm pretty sure I would remember if he screwed me one way or another. So not from what I remember.
Okay. That's fine. I'll take him in the 5th round.
Hey, you should. You love dead zone backs. Chris is just a dead zone back baby. He loves them.
It's because I could make him hit.
Yeah. didn't help Alexander Madison last year. He didn't.
No, everybody. You know what? I'm not falling on that sword. All right, me and everybody else.
Yeah, you got a new one this year. I can't wait to get to him.
17, we have Kenneth Walker for the Seahawks, 51.8 going in the 6th round.
This is green light. This is more my kind of guy right here. I'll time out on Kenneth Walker.
Oh shit.
Oh, do you have a timeout for Kenneth Walker?
No. Okay. I just didn't expect that one.
Yeah, man. 17, I think is. And what did you say his ADP was? Primo?
51.8.
51.8. So where was Alvin Kamara's?
49.3. So
Yeah.
Couple picks
later. And I don't even like taking running backs in this range. I prefer getting but I'm still going to green light it for him. Kenneth Walker is just a home run hitter. He's got that Devon Achane breakaway big play type ability where he can take it 80 yards to the house any moment, give you huge spike weeks. And I'm into the Seattle offense, the new offensive coordinator they got coming from Washington. They're already talking about using him more in the pass game, which I know that's like the puff piece every running back that doesn't get receptions gets. Oh, we're going to use him in the pass game more. But he can catch. I've seen it. And you put a player like Kenneth Walker with his speed, explosiveness in like the flats and screen game, he could just absolutely crush. And I like Charbonnet too, but for like the later, cheaper running back. But if you're going to spend some quality draft capital on a running back, this is my kind of guy. I want guys who can go out there and drop 30s to 40 points, like that have that in their bag. And Alvin Kamara, I don't believe, has that in his bag. I don't believe Derrick Henry has that in his bag. Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, I don't believe they have it in their bag. But players like Kenneth Walker have that in their bag. I mean, if he gets more consistent usage, he could be top 10 running back easy. So, yeah, all green light for Kenneth Walker. I think he's a great player, great click this year.
I'm not as up on him, but I'll still green light the pick. I mean, he finished as the 19 last year and the 18 the year before that. Man, he missed a couple games both years. So, I mean, being drafted at 17, sure, why not? If you get a full season out of him, there's no reason he can't finish above that. So,
yeah.
At 18, we have Aaron Jones for the Vikings, 60.6 ADP going in the 6th round.
Red light out. I'm done. If it ain't Justin Jefferson, I don't want a Viking this year.
Oh, wow. All right. So this will be, I guess this is going to be my dusty back eye green light. I'm green lighting Aaron Jones. I like him a lot, honestly. At 6th round, I think that's sweet. And especially if you get any kind of dip where like people like Chris are like, no, I don't want this. It was going to be Sam Darnold anyway. I guess we should have covered that at the beginning. J.J. McCarthy, full meniscus repair, out for the year, which he wasn't really scheduled to start anyway. Like, I think Sam Darnold was going to probably play the first 5 games. It sucks for McCarthy, but staying on Aaron Jones, not to get sidetracked. I mean, that's going to, if anything, Sam Darnold's going to check it down more than J.J. McCarthy, I would think, instead of pushing the ball. So Aaron Jones is a fully capable pass catcher. Last year, he had an insane run in the playoffs, just went on a tear. Still highly efficient. Other than injury, which is a big click on him, but it feels like it's baked in. I mean, that's 6th round for Aaron Jones, starting running back for the Vikings, tied to Justin Jefferson, a good head coach. I like him, man. I think he's a solid click where he's going. So I'm going to greenlight Aaron Jones.
He's older than Alvin Kamara, for starters.
Is he?
Yes, they're both 29, and he's like 4 months older than Alvin.
Oh, 4 months older. All right. All right.
You talked about Alvin Kamara like his bones are going to turn to dust.
Hey, I started off with I'll greenlight this Dusty back. I get he's old, like for sure, but he's not
Dude,
as
he's
guy.
just not as exciting anymore. Like, he still has his moments, but his efficiency has consistently gone down. And he will catch passes. I mean, the Vikings are going to throw the ball a lot, but the dude just, I don't think he, I don't know that he's ever played a full season. I would have to go back and look, but if he's catching the ball 7, 8 times a game and they're giving him 9, 10 carries on it, I'm too worried about it being only a matter of time. That's,
I could see like a Raheem Mostert like season from Aaron Jones this year. A player who's very fast, very good, has dealt with health issues, and never been a full-time starter his whole career. Always like as far as like not having a lot of tread on their tires for a older age back. If he gets his health together, it's just the offense isn't going to be as good as Miami by a lot. So that's where I think some of the upside you were saying, just being attached to a not as strong offense could limit them. But I don't think Minnesota's going to be as bad as people are now projecting with McCarthy out. Like I said, because for me, it's been all offseason long. I thought Sam Darnold was going to start. And I just believe in this head coach as well, in Kevin O'Connell. So I think it's going to be fine for Aaron Jones.
At 19, we have James Conner in the playing for the Cardinals at 63.1 ADP, going in the 7th round.
Green light for me. Give me this old Dusty back. Like big Dusty backs, and I can't lie on this one. He is a smash, dude. Especially where he's going. Green light for me. I'll let Chris have a moment, but I can go on about James Conner a little bit.
No. I'm not even going to waste the time out on James Conner, man. James Conner's pretty common sense to me. His ADP being where it's at is just a steal. So, I mean, he's one of the most efficient running backs left in the league. And the usage is going to be there. They love this dude. They ended the season with him going just guns blazing, even knowing that they weren't really going to accomplish anything by doing it. They just wanted to make sure they had what they thought they had, and he showed it. So double green. Double green.
Yeah, we'd have to pay a 5th round price like next to Rashad White in the past for sorry, I went blank. Got an update on Jamar Chase and it threw me for a loop. On James Conner. Yeah, love his pick. Green light. He's great. He's great until he's hurt. So, handcuff him with Trey Benson. I mean, I'm sure Benson's going late enough. So yeah, I love Conner.
At 20, we have another dog, the DeAndre Swift for the Bears, 64 ADP, going in the 7th round.
There's no take on this. That's just a yellow for me because I've seen DeAndre Swift used various ways over the years, and I don't know what the Bears are going to do with him. So, like, the ADP seems fine for what I think he's capable of, but it's just a yellow for the unknown for me. I'm not going to feel excited about it. If I roll into the pick, maybe, but
I'm going to green light it for the way I draft, bypassing a lot of the early running backs to get a starting number 1 running back for a team we think is going to take a big step forward offensively this year in the later rounds, I think is a big win. So yeah, I green light DeAndre Swift. I know there's a little, is he really good kind of box, but I think he is good, and I'm happy taking him there. Yeah, so I'm going to green light it.
At 21, we have David Montgomery for the Lions, coming in ADP 66 in the 7th round.
Honestly, as good as I talked about Jahmyr Gibbs a while ago, David Montgomery's a green for me here.
Yeah.
I think he's just a full volume touchdown dependent back that is going to get volume and touchdowns. Yeah. I think there will be games where Jahmyr Gibbs just runs away with it, and that's why he's going at the end the beginning of the second round, and David Montgomery's going where he's going. But if you're just filling out a roster at that point, yeah, I think he's fine.
I agree. I'm going to green light David Montgomery as well. This is where I like buying like my floors, where I'm looking for, just someone to fill in my RB2 spot, pair up with an Chan, somebody like that. I like David Montgomery at that price. And he does have the contingent upside of Jahmyr Gibbs goes down. All of a sudden, David Montgomery's like a 3 touchdown per game ceiling. Like he could be a league winner for you.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
At 22, we have Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots, 69.4 ADP in the 7th round.
I love that he follows David Montgomery.
Yeah, because like situational wise, I mean, he's the starter. He's an RB1 to where David Montgomery's probably more like an RB2 on his team, but it feels a little worse clicking him. That offense is gross, but I do like Ramondre Stevenson, so I'll green light it where he goes. I want to be scared and yellow light him because the offense I think is going to be a little putrid, but Ramondre Stevenson's kind of a stud, so I'm going to green light it. Like, I wouldn't take Ramondre Stevenson as depth. Like, if I had 2 to 3 already good running backs, I'd probably just bypass Ramondre Stevenson and look for a contingent more upside. But again, like me, if I'm going heavy wide receiver, filling out my onesies with tight ends and quarterbacks, and I'm looking for an RB2 and RB1, yeah, I'll smash Ramondre in that price range.
Yeah. Actually, I have nothing to add to that. That pretty much sums up exactly how I feel about Ramondre.
Mm-hmm. I think he's priced accordingly. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At 23, we have Najee Harris for the Steelers, ADP 74.2 coming in the 8th round.
8th round Najee Harris, dude. Green light, I guess. It's gross, but it's a green light nonetheless. It's some projected volume. Arthur Smith, we hate him as a head coach, but he's always had a good running system. Jalen Warren's dealing with a hamstring injury right now. His week 1 availability is up in the air. It's a gross offense, so Mike Tomlin's a magician, but it's baked into his price. 8th round. Najee Harris, starting running back for Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll green light it with a sigh. Like, green light. I was looking forward to maybe taking a rest, but I'll go through this green light.
Yeah, it was a yellow for me until I found out about Jalen Warren's hamstring, which is an actual thing. It's not really like Jahmyr Gibbs where he kind of tweaked it and they think he's going to be fine for week 1. Tomlin's being sneaky about this one. I think it's a little more than caution. And Arthur Smith likes to run the damn ball. So if it's Najee's field for the first couple of weeks and he gets to establish it and then it turns this 50-50 field or split field into more of a 70-30 going forward, if Najee's running away with it, I think he could be a league winner where he's being drafted at. Now,
Okay.
I've been burned by Najee enough to know that he's probably not going to run away with it, but I'm still going to green light it where the pick is.
Yeah, I agree.
At 24, we have Tony Pollard for the Titans, ADP 79.3 going in the 8th round.
That's a full red for me. I think, you know what, I'll upgrade it to yellow because it is, at this point, it's hard to find a full red because the discounts are just so high. But I'm between yellow and red on Pollard because I personally don't think he's the best running back on that team. And the Titans O-line is absolute garbage. And we saw how he was as a pure runner last year behind Dallas's O-line, who was middle of the road, I guess. If they come out and throw the ball 45 times a game like everybody seems to think they're going to do, Pollard will have some value. So I guess I'll sound stupid, but I don't think he's the receiving back on his team, which is weird because I think that's why they wanted him so bad. I don't think he's the best one there. So
I hear what you're saying. It's a green light for me. Tony Pollard is someone that I was kind of excited to take at the 1-2 turn last year. I think it's important we remind everyone he was coming off a broken leg last year. That's real. And he did, say in an interview that he didn't feel all the way good until like week 13 or something, where he started to have more production, more touchdowns. And again, like Chris said, the price is so baked in. I mean, this guy, I think, should be good to go. So I'm green light on Tony Pollard, ready to roll with him. I like him and Tajay both, but their ADP and price has gotten so close together now. I'll just take the guy they paid, and I think is going to be more of like a bet to get goal line work.
I'm trying to find Tajay Spears. He's like, there's a big difference now.
Is there? Okay, cool.
Yeah, his sleeper ADP is in the 11th round.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. In that case, I would rather wait on Tajay Spears, but on sleeper, their ADP is. I'm not on sleeper. On underdog, their ADP is a bit closer. In that situation, I like Tony Pollard more. That's just preference to me, though. I still green light Tony Pollard where he's going, but personally, I'll wait on Tajay Spears in the 11th. I'd rather have him, or both. I think this is a team you could honestly draft both these guys and run them, but conversation for another day.
Fair enough.
And then last but not least, at number 25, we have the dog, Zamir White, for the Raiders, 81.7 ADP, going in the 9th round.
9th round, wow. He feels a lot like this year's Alexander Madison to me, but that price you can't argue with. I thought he was going earlier. I thought he was going in like the early 7th. Whew. I'll green light Zamir White for a 9th round pick. Yeah, I'll green light all that. Just Alexander Madison clunk work. I'll take it. I'll take that projected volume, that price. Green light.
Yeah. The light can't get any greener.
Yeah, Chris loves this guy. He loves him. He can't believe he's going in the 9th. He's like, I'll take Zamir White in the 5th. What the hell?
Never said 5th. But I'll use my last timeout, but it won't be a full timeout. It'll be a 30-second. We had a 4-game sample size last year. Over 4 games, he averaged 100 yards per game on the dot, 3 receptions per game, and 20 receiving yards per game. He had 1 touchdown in 4 games, which isn't great. But just the receiving and the rushing numbers, he averaged 15.2 PPR fantasy points per game. That paced out over 17 games as 258.4 fantasy points. The mean for touchdowns on running backs, rushing and receiving last year was 7.5. So I didn't even give him that many for this year. I just threw 6 in. That would project him as this year's running back 4. If he paced just his yardage in 3 catches a game and 20 receiving yards and got 6 touchdowns, it would project him as this year's running back 4, and he would have finished last year as running back 7. So, am I telling you to reach in the 3rd round and go get your Zamir White? Absolutely not. But I'm saying, if you're sitting there in the 7th and the 8th and you're happy with your lineup, and at this point you're just shooting your shots, shoot one at him, dude. It can't hurt you at that ADP. You're not going to lose your league by grabbing Zamir White in the 8th round. I assure you. Whereas statistically speaking, the only thing that happened with that running back room is they picked up the same person who Curtis made the brunt of the joke about 3 times in his last take.
That is ironic, yeah.
Alexander Madison ain't doing shit in Las Vegas. And I might eat those words, to be honest with you. But
still in Loudby.
And if these numbers panned out even remotely close to this, and you get yourself a top 15 running back being drafted as a mid-20s running back, dude, it's free points. It's free points, man.
It does feel like that at that price. It just feels like just free donuts in the office break room, just empty calories there for you. It's like it'll get you through a couple hours. I'm not excited about Zamir White, but that price is nice.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you love them. All right, that was all of our running backs, right?
Yep.
All right, guys. I know we have a tight end. We were wanting to do the tight ends today as well, but I really don't know if I have the time do
No,
it,
that's
guys.
all good,
Can
dude. I
cool.
was watching the clock, and we've already got right at an hour. So
Yeah.
you want to just do this? Can we do this last segment really quick, and then
Sure.
next week we'll do a mock draft, and then maybe cover the tight ends?
Yeah, that'd be good. I've got a lot of the tight end info. I'm ready to roll on them. It'll be quick too. So yeah,
Yeah.
we can we'll just tie tight ends next week.
Okay.
All right, what you got for us?
So over episode 1 and episode 2, Primo has been pretty quick on the trigger with that guy fucked me. Don't
Oh
ever
yeah,
draft him again.
yeah.
And I've found beauty in that poetic nature because I have done the same thing. But what I did was took the 2 leagues that you have been active in with me over the last few years and went back the last 3 years and made notes of any player who has performed under his ADP on the year that he was on your team. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is I'm going to title this miniature segment Forgive or Forget. I'm just going to say the player's name, and you tell me if you will still take a flyer on them or if they are dead to you.
Okay.
You can explain why. You don't have to. You can say whatever you want to say. But I got about, I think, 10 of them.
All right. Rapid fire.
And, yes, this is in no particular order. Chris Godwin.
I'd take it.
Forgive or forget?
I'd forget. I'd forget. I mean, no, forgive. I'd forgive.
Yeah.
I'd forgive.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like
that's,
that.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. Fuck that dude.
God.
You know
Fuck
what?
that guy.
Listen, Curtis is a super Waddle fan, but to
I
be fair, I looked, man. The year Primo had him, it was bad. Like it was the year for Waddle you didn't want.
What, last year? Like that's the only year he's not finished in the top
Yeah,
15.
but dude, it was rough last year. I'm telling you, like
Yeah,
if you didn't know him going into it, and then that's
Yeah.
all you saw, like I get it. I
Yeah.
would forgive
Yeah.
him because I know
Dude,
what
I
he
want to say
can
that
be,
dude was
but-
giving me single digits or some shit like that. Yeah. Fuck that
Yeah.
guy.
Do you know all the rookie records that Puka broke? Do you know who had those records before
Don't be
Puka?
that guy, man. Don't be that guy.
It was Jalen Waddle. But all right, yeah, cool. I
Give me Jerry
forgive.
Rice
Big
over him.
forgive.
All right, George Pickens.
Oh, so I think I mentioned this in that other episode about George Pickens. Like
Pickens got that dog in him.
he does,
Mhm.
and he is such a big deep threat. But he fucked me a lot. He fucked me a lot last year.
He's boomer
go-
bust.
He's
Pickens is
very-
like that crazy dog you might have to put down, but he's definitely got some dog in him.
I look, as much as I like him, I think he has the talent to be really great in the league. But like you said, boomer bust. Fuck him, I ain't drafting him again.
All right. More like forgive or fuck him.
You know, when you feel strongly about something, it's all right.
Yeah. All right.
Quentin Johnston.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like I put
Yeah.
one in there for obvious reasons.
The only one who doesn't think that is Jim Harbaugh for some reason. It's because he
I think
dominated
the
him
only
in
one
college.
who doesn't think that is the Chargers PR executive
Yeah.
because they're trying to make the world buy into Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, forget him. Forget him.
Tony Pollard. We just talked about him.
I wanted to say I drafted him a couple years ago when he was good.
Oh, I might have looked at the year wrong. You had him when he was good, so he's a
Maybe-
forgive for you then. Nothing to
Yeah,
forgive there.
I'll forgive it. I'll forgive it. And then, I mean, we just talked about him in the 8th round. I'd give him a shot.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get the 2 Falcons out of the way. Drake London.
I want to say just he can go fuck himself. But I'm not saying I wouldn't draft him again. he
He got everybody.
dude, he fucked me that one season. Like I'm telling you, like there were some games where he did really, really great, and then there were some single digit games in there. And I didn't appreciate that at all. I'm not saying I'll forgive him. I'll forgive him because I may draft him again. Now that he has
Okay.
a better quarterback.
I was gonna say you can do it. You gotta want him this year though. We'll
Yeah,
see how
that's
next year goes, but if you want him this year, you gotta get him. Kyle Pitts.
Listen, I don't doubt that he has the talent, but yeah, go fuck himself. Look,
Ah,
look. He has the talent. I'm sure if he was on a different team, but let's also put this on the table here. The Falcons' passing game sucked, and he was also not being utilized properly. I don't think. I think they drafted a fucking horse, and they decided to, I don't know, run it with a dog or some shit like that. You know, like they did not use him correctly the first couple years that he was on that team, and I don't know if I trust him just yet. So I'm not gonna say like he can go fuck himself, like he fucked me kind of way, but it's more so the Falcons fucked me.
that's actually fair.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna bogart your segment. If I were gonna disagree with one that you've said so far, it would be Kyle Pitts. But we'll talk about that on tight ends when we do that, and probably Jalen Waddle. But I honestly I get why you feel that way about Jalen Waddle because I saw what he did to you last year. It was brutal.
I'll just say this.
Three more.
I I'll just say
Oh, go ahead.
this. I'm gonna throw him right in the fucking. He's right there in the mix with Anthony Richardson. Okay, I'm not saying he's not the Georgia Bulldog fan in me or anything like that, but I'm saying he gave us one good year. Okay, at Florida. That's all. I'll say.
Two. Oh.
It was one. It was one.
Lost my place. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. You had him at a bad time.
Yes. I want to say I've drafted him in other leagues and other years, and he's done really good for me. I'll forgive.
Oh yeah.
I'll forgive him.
All right. So as long as there's a historical foundation, you'll forgive one mess up of a year.
Yeah.
That's the pattern.
Yeah.
All right.
But he's getting old,
Deontay
though.
Johnson. Oh,
Who?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I'll say he's getting old though, so I'm not saying I would draft him this year.
Okay. Deontay Johnson.
Dude, I don't even know who the fuck that is.
No. Wide receiver 1 for Carolina Panthers. He used to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. You probably don't know either because he rode your bench the entire year you had him.
Yeah, he wasn't. He never really was great until last year, and even last year he was shaky. But he just
Oh, is that like his first name is like DEO? How you spell his first name?
DIONTE.
DIONTAE.
Yeah, okay.
T-A-E.
I know who you're talking about now. I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, hard pass.
Yeah,
A lot of people are high on him this year. I don't know. I'm not buying that dip.
Yeah,
it's all the ball knowers for some reason really like him. He's got really good, just like per target with his catch rate and everything. But he's like a good numbers wide receiver. But he's got the opposite. He's got no dog in him. Deontay Johnson has no dog. Is what it
Yeah.
feels like to me.
Well, and he survived the Mason Rudolph year, and then he survived the Kenny Pickett year. So, I mean, I guess whatever. He could be good, but he did not do well when he was on your team. So that's why I put him on this list.
Yeah. I do remember who you're talking about now. He can go fuck himself.
All right. The only other one is DeAndre Swift.
He's fine.
And he wasn't actually terrible when he was on your team. He was just mid.
He was. He had a very, very, very mid. He's playing for the Bears. Like you said earlier, how's he going to be utilized in that offense with Caleb Williams? Honestly, I'll forgive him.
You got to forgive him.
I'll forgive him. There's the potential for him to be really good this year, and I'll forgive him. And I think it's partially because he's a dog.
Did he play for Georgia?
He did. He won the.
I didn't know that. How about that?
He had the home run touchdown against Auburn in the SEC championship.
Yeah, you got to forgive him. Then that's it. That's historical foundation right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I learned a lot about your psyche there, friend. I appreciate that. That was pretty fun.
Yes, sir.
Well, if unless you guys got something else to add, I guess we'll clip it there. And guys, thanks for the listen. Shout out to our parent podcast, 2 Game Podcast, Mr. Matt Primo right there. Check it out, give it a listen. something there for everybody, and we will plan to be back next week. Hopefully, we'll cover tight ends, and if we can arrange it, we may try to do a mock draft just to kind
Yes.
of walk through and explain our picks a little bit, and just kind of see, get some dirt on one another, I guess. So
A little peek behind the curtain.
yeah.
I'm just gonna.
So I guess that's it.
I'm
You
gonna,
guys
I'm
got
gonna put
anything
all
else?
kind of wrong ones in mine, and I'm gonna hype them all up.
Nothing but dogs.
That's my plan, man. I'm gonna pick a crappy team, just throw everybody off.
Where does he rate on the dog meter for Primo? But yeah, guys, it was great seeing y'all. Thank you again, Primo, for all the work you do. Thank you.
I
Appreciate it.
appreciate y'all. Thank you, sir.
Chris, congratulations on the first day of school, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play my PlayStation now, so that I can not think about it. Honestly.
All right.
And
Peace, guys.
All right. Later.
later, guys.
Later.